system for elections, and I'm happy to move this, seconded by Tim Scandrett. Sorry, I'm moving that we. Decide what. Sorry, I misread that. I thought that. No wonder I got an email from a certain person. I did very quickly. I would like to move that we retain the current first past the post electoral system for the 2016 and 2019 elections. And Councillor Scandrett, you'd like to second that. Thank you. Are there any questions? I mean, this is on a deadline. We have to resolve before the 12th of September to change the electoral system if we decide to, and then it would be subject to a valid poll demand being made prior to the February 2015.
Yes, yeah. So regardless of the council's decision, we still need to
have to have a poll.
So they still have to give notice that they can get a poll by February.
Yeah.
As to whether or not.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. So Glenn and then Andrew.
Thank you. Claire, can you please give us an indication of anticipated time difference in counting votes under an STV system as opposed to first past the post, although given you do count them in anticipation so that when we have that first result at approximately 1 p.m, I think 90% or 95%.
The only difference would be in terms of, I know a number of electoral officers, it's often not clear until the Sunday or the Monday under STV, but there's really no time difference in counting. It's just when you would get the progress result. But all things being equal, it shouldn't make that much of a difference at all. Yeah. And the costs are exactly the same as to whether or not it's FPP or STV. There's 6 councils that currently use it, so yeah.
Yeah, so we will still have to notify that people have a right to demand a poll, yeah. And we have to do that by
the 12th,
Women's Suffrage Day.
Yes. So dependent on after this decision that you made today, I'll be getting a public notice in the paper within the next week.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, Andrew.
To what extent has this been discussed with the community boards, and if it has, what was their feedback?
I understand that it's been raised by one community board, and I think you'll see it through on your agenda on the 11th of September. I'm aware that it's at least one board that would like to recommend to the council that they do go to STV. But I haven't put this report to the community boards. I have put it only to council, but certainly one community board has recommended STV.
Given the timeline, is there time for a discussion with the community boards before council made a decision on it, or do we need to make this decision today?
It would be very tight in terms of getting the notification in the paper, because I do need, under the Act, I do need to get the notification in the paper by the 12th of September. And given deadlines for getting public notices in, that wouldn't leave very much time between the 11th of September, which is the next council meeting, and this. But it's also in the positive, because people if enough people demanded a poll, then the council would have to agree to that poll in time anyway. So it's whether or not there's the 5% of electors in Christchurch would be interested in a poll for STV anyway, and then we'd have to run the poll. So.
I'm just a wee bit concerned that, in fact, it hasn't had more discussion. Like, for example, the councils who use STV, how well that goes. Because my understanding is that, in fact, as a council, if there was agreement, in fact, that we should change, in fact, the council can make the decision. Am I right in that, Claire? Without the poll?
Well, no, it can be initiated by the council. That
the council can decide. So it could decide to retain or change it. And then but if you decided to change it, then you wouldn't need the poll.
Yes, thank you.
But, yeah, the council can decide to change the system, but it would have to be used for both 2016 and 2019, so that it's not changing every 3 years.
Yeah. And I think, just to add to that, I think the biggest concern, say, in Christchurch would be that because the DHB, who have a STV approach, and there's a large number of candidates usually for that, and it comes across as quite a daunting task for the voter. And I don't think anyone wants to add that to that in relation, say, to our council or community board elections. But on the other hand, there might be some reasons that we should consider that as an option.
That matter was certainly raised by submitters to the recent inquiry into the running of the 2013 elections. It was raised that was run by the Justice and Electoral Committee. On balance, there was the talk of splitting the ballot paper so that it didn't confuse people. But on balance, the cost and ease, it was actually thought to keep it in the current system.
I think just one thing that I would comment on this, because in a way, because I want us to do the representation review in such a different way, I didn't really want to muddy the debate around this unless there was a groundswell of support from the community. So the community itself can raise a poll, and if 5% of the electors in Christchurch want to change to STV, then that's fine. But what I didn't want us to do was to us drive a change without having been out to consult with our community about how they felt about it. And we're on a statutory deadline here, so I didn't think it did any harm in us making a decision to retain the current first-past-the-post electoral system for these 2 elections. It doesn't bind us forever. But it is a requirement to make that decision now. But we can certainly, in all of the discussions that we're going to be having over the representation review, make it very clear to people that they have the right to call for a poll. And if 5% of the population do want to go down that track, then that is the case. So when do they?
If I receive the poll, if I receive a request with the required number of signatories by the 28th of February,
yeah,
then we would have to have a poll
poll
in terms of the 2016. If it's after that, then it wouldn't affect the 2016
that's right.
elections.
Yeah. Jimmy.
We reviewed 2.1 in here. You particularly mentioned a moment the 2013 election. They have 6 council use STV.
Yes.
Is there any that is a city council or all district council?
Yes, Dunedin City, Wellington City. Are the 2 major ones that I can recall, the two largest councils that run STV.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So I'll put the motion. All those in favour say aye. Those opposed say no. That's carried. Thank you. Community